This video is a reply to the user "We are one true God," his questions. I will answer the questions that I can answer because about the dimensions or reptilians, world controllers, for example, I have no personal info that I can access. So others who do may be more able to answer it, so definitely check out their videos as well. Question number 1. If we are all oneness and equality, then what about the plants? Who or what is the consciousness inside the plants? Same with the animals. There's obviously a being inside the animals, so are we one and equal with him? And if we are, then Destiny should be preaching vegetarianism. The plants are here as life. Same for the animals, and same as the humans. So I would say animals have life essence in them. Same as anything else part of existence. Just in a different form and a different expression and function. We stand for a world without abuse. And right now we have to eat to survive. There's no way around it. You can try to live without food, but you will die. I'm a vegetarian for about 9 years and for me it works well. But one time I tried to go on the raw food diet. It's mostly a fruit diet. And it didn't work out at all. So I had to stop it after months. And you have to find out what supports your body at this stage, but really investigate it and don't just assume because others say something or because you desire it. The whole profit-driven factory farming has to end, and that's why I once became a vegetarian. And it will end when we stop this money system and have a re-education of humankind to consider all life forms as equal in worth, and to not unnecessarily abuse or support abuse. One by one we can live this and stand up and create a new way of living. That's why the Destiny I process is here, as well as the equal money system which is in development. If I can choose between eating zucchinis in my garden or eating my dog, I choose the zucchinis because the plant keeps growing and the animal, it dies and it also has more functions. But it actually is quite fucked up that we have to kill some form of another to survive and live. 2. If there's no such thing as love, then what is this thing that when you talk to a plant you show it attention and love, then it grows better? It's not love as what humans define it as. It's because the plant is taken care of, noticed, valued, and not just put aside as some kind of waste product or lifeless thing which is less than, for example, a cat. Love is to do what's best for all, to value another life form as you would want to be valued yourself. To treat another as you would want to be done unto you, and caring for a plant in various ways includes that. 3. Why are Destiny people and the dimensions focusing on their own personal agendas in terms of self-forgiveness and individual process if we are all supposed to be one and equal? Because nothing can change without self-change. If you do not become aware of who you are and why you are the way you are, you can't understand why others are the way they are either, or only very limited. When you open yourself up, you start seeing your patterns and how you became as you are today, and will be able to see why all people are as they are, how they got programmed, when they follow their ego or fear, how is it created through culture, etc. Adding all those dots together makes you see the entire world system and what's necessary to stop it. If you allow something within you which harms yourself or another, which causes separation, such as beliefs or ego, then you will not function in a world without those things. And the same shit may be created all over again. For a new world, a re-education is needed, and those who will bring forth another world already do this for themselves. Because you can't do this for another. Each one must do it themselves. Yes, you can help a person to see certain points and be an example, but in the end, they have to actually do it for themselves. Because being one and equal doesn't mean that we all do the same. We are still individuals at a level that we can only change ourselves and another cannot. We can only stop our own programming. And that we are one and equal doesn't mean we live it, because we don't live it at this stage. We treat each other as unequals and we create fucked up shit in this world. So much abuse and exploitation. We believe we are not equal, that some are worth more or less, or we simply follow this because that's how we've been raised and have seen all around us since we were young. 4. If Destiny is anti-belief system, then why do they preach the dogma of no God? when the many of channeled beings in the past do acknowledge a God. Because Destiny deals with about all points in this world, and God is a major part of people's lives in the world, many people's lives. They all have different beliefs and religions. A God can refer to being simply a creator of something. And it doesn't mean because there would be a creator that he or she or it is good and has to be followed. If you would be a baby created by an alien species to labor as a slave for them, does it mean those aliens are gods you should worship simply because they have created you? Hell no! You're part of existence just like them, equally, even when they created you. You're created out of substance that is everywhere in existence. 5. Why do you guys edit off the comments that don't agree with your belief system? We edit out comments which are abusive, which spread BS, or simply people's own beliefs they want to spread around. We are not here to discuss beliefs because it has already been explained how they function. We have no room whatsoever for people who try to convince us of their beliefs when we already know the construct of them. So people with real questions will be allowed. We often do allow such comments to place a comment to it, but when it keeps on happening over and over, there's a point it has to end. And they may think it is unfair, but when we clearly know they are spreading lies or BS about our group, then we don't allow it. I don't either on my channels. When a person spreads lies or assumptions about me, I see no reason why I should allow it. Check out the previous videos for this, because this is a point that's been addressed before. 6. What about synchronicities and how do they happen? Like meeting your soulmate, listening to the right song, the right book, etc. It are things you believe are synchronicities. Well, that they have a special value. Because most of the time such things don't happen, and then when it happens on rare occasions you think it must be a sign. But why would you think that? Because most of the time it doesn't happen. And then when it sometimes does, people think it must mean something, while it's the exception and not the standard. It's obvious that you will have synchronicities in life with your own feelings. I can't imagine a person never having synchronicities. You come across so many info and people. It's not special at all. A soulmate is a self-created belief when you click with someone based on your personality and feelings or energy or whatever you want to call it. People call it a soulmate to feel special, and I suggest to not raise one person up as more or better or more special than another living being, because this whole thing creates separation again between people, and often just feeds their own desires and feelings and live in their own personal bubbles while the world continues to go to shit. I once was very sad, for example, and I had been sad before, listening to the radio, but nothing special happened. And then this one time a song came up which I linked to God sending me a message. I did that because of my emotions, because I desired it. I didn't realize most of the time this didn't happen at all, and bombarded the experience as a sign of God. I was not self-honest back then, so I didn't really investigate my own desires and fears and the reason why I was sad. 7. What about the secrets and miracles and faith? What is providing the miracles that allow people to have great faith? All I can say is that the secret never worked for me. I once saw the documentary, but I never really applied it. But I remember back in my life that everything I thought good, that would be good about something, it went bad. And when I thought bad, it went good. And I was like, what the fuck, this shit works in reverse for me. Like when I was a kid, I used to imagine all the bad things before I went to bed, because that way I could make sure I wouldn't have nightmares. And what do you mean with miracles? A lot of things are not miracles at all, but perfectly explainable. Same with faith. Mental constructs of people based on their desires and their fears. There's nothing special about it. If a miracle would happen, ask yourself why you would go into awe or worship, like a blind one just following something because you can't explain it. What if the thing that causes it is evil and wants to mislead you? You gotta start asking yourself questions. A miracle never has any substantial effects but to further divide people into beliefs. I would consider a miracle that all people get fat and stop starving to death, yet such miracles never happen. 8. How can we experience oneness and equality on an intellectual basis? Don't we have to be on a spiritual platform to actually experience oneness and equality? Oneness is who we are on this planet. We are connected with each other through the system, and when we interact, what a person does influences another. Even though many would love to, we cannot live in a separate bubble disconnected from everything else. Even sitting in a house all day doing nothing still has an effect, as anything else. When I buy something, it has an effect somewhere else. Also, the way we function within our mind is the same. It may have different outflows and connections, but they are similar core patterns. How we get shaped and programmed or formed, or whatever you want to call it. So the way we exist in this oneness right now is in inequality, separation, and abuse. Look around in the world and there's your proof. Look inside your mind and your thoughts during the day about yourself and others, and there's your proof as well. You either accept it, you take the easy way out and say, that's just human, or you take responsibility. Equality has to be lived to be real. We are equals in fact, but we don't live it at all. We create judgments to separate ourselves from each other, where we place the one above the other, the private group, and raise up another. Equality and oneness is not just a slogan that we use. It's not just something that sounds nice or which makes people feel good, like many spiritual slogans. So you have to check out what you have defined as oneness and equality, because it sounds like this person has some kind of other idea about what it is, because he says you have to be on a spiritual platform to actually experience it, which is not true. 9. How come the people in the past who worked towards oneness and equality believed in a personal creator? For example, Amma, Bob Marley, Mother Teresa. They didn't stand up to the system or get to the root of the problem. I mean, they wanted to help, but they didn't see what was required fully. Or they also didn't have enough backup. That's what we want to do, else abuse won't ever happen. People who stand for a world without war and crime, for example, sometimes believe in a personal creator. Want to know why? Ask them. It can be because that's how they have been raised, or what they desire and create beliefs about. It has so many reasons, and it doesn't mean that it has any value or is special, or that those people must, or that God those people believe in may be true because they were fighting for oneness and equality as what they thought it was. No, they are people like anyone else with their own belief systems. 10. Since we are sending out vibrations and love sends out vibrations, can't we do better in this world by sending out love vibrations? How do you know you send out love vibrations? All you hear about that is hearsay. There are thousands probably already doing this, all the spiritual people. And guess what? Abuse still rises. Like poverty, for example. Go check out the statistics. Also, you won't be able to feed the starving or stop animal slaughter by doing that. The whole system that keeps it alive is worldwide, and it drives on profit. People often are in control of it who don't give a shit about their employees. It sounds harsh, but it's true. They won't care if you send out so-called love vibrations. You won't have an effect on another human's being programmed mind. You don't have that kind of power. They still have to be able to see it and change themselves or be stopped. And try to go to the main jail, for example, in Miami. It's full of bad boys, criminals, and try sending out love vibrations as an experiment. And you will probably get beaten up and raped. To change things in this world, we will have to put effort into it. And actively change things. Use this system to stop it. Else it won't, and you will simply hope it does, but that's about it. And I once saw this video about monks, and they got attacked. They were totally peaceful. You know about monks, how they are. And that man was set on fire while doing nothing at all. 11. Who is making babies? The complicated process of creation. How can we as human beings be doing this complex process unless there's a God? Who is actively nurturing us if there is no God? The human body. Two persons decide to have sex. They do it, and then the physical body creates a baby body, and the baby is born with a brain, and then it's programmed through the culture and all the influences it gets and shaped by genetics, etc. It doesn't say anything about God or whatever that God may be, or who that God is, or if it's good or bad.